What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at this little guy. Let's do it. So, the Kizer Feist, something that I've been aware of for a long time, been seeing all these cool different combinations coming out with blade steel and handle material, and finally pulled the trigger on what I believe is the absolute right one. So this guy came in CPM-4v, which if you don't know is a bit more of a rare steel, similar in composition and function to M4. Although it is slightly tougher, they say, and slightly less edge retention, but I think it's phenomenal. I'm really excited to have it, especially on this little knife with this small blade. Kizer, another high-end Chinese knife manufacturer, really excellent stuff coming from them. This is a Justin Lundquist design, which if you have not seen his other designs, you'll soon find that he has a very particular style, and this kind of fits right in there. This is also my first front flipper on the channel, as you can see, and I'm still practicing it. Luckily, I'm able to do it on camera here. I wasn't sure, but you can see there's the JL, Justin Lundquist, and that is the Feist. So I'm going to jump in here first with a little size comparison, and then we'll talk about kind of my pros and cons. So definitely on the smaller side, knife blade is just under 3 inches, I believe. You can see there compared to the Para 3. And then compared to the bug out, which has a 3.25 inch blade. So you can see the Feist blade is a little bit smaller than the Para 3, definitely smaller than the bug out. Handle considerably smaller than both of the two. So it's definitely a little guy. And then something that I think is very relevant to compare it to is the Benchmade Valet. These two are very similar in dimension, both in the handle and in the blade, with the Valet being slightly longer in both areas. In terms of thickness, they're pretty similar, the Feist being slightly thicker, although you'll notice the Feist does not have these liners because it has solid aluminum handles. Actually, it does have liners, they're nested and they're quite a bit thinner. It is slightly lighter than the Valet with the aluminum and smaller liners. However, they're very similar. They're very, very similar. If you've ever held the Valet, you'll have a good idea of what it'll feel like to hold the Feist. Similar sort of design as well. So that's a good one. Let's get into what I really like about this knife. First off, what you'll notice right away is the crowned spine. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a fan of that, and I don't have many knives with it because usually they're pretty expensive. This one is this was $110, and on all versions of this, cheap and expensive, they have that crown spine on the blade. And I think that's way cool. I think it's a really neat little feature that just kind of gives it the extra push to make it really pop. So that's good. I already talked about the blade. I think that's a huge plus that Kizer does. These, they have all kinds of different steels with this knife, but most of them are like kind of your normal, M390, S35VN, 20CV. I think they're doing one with 154cm, BD1N. So nothing crazy, but they do have a good variation. And this was the first time they put one of these great tool steels on it. So I was all over that. Also, I really like the aluminum handles. They feel super nice and smooth. It's just really comfortable in the pocket. When I put my hand in my pocket and feel it, it feels amazing. The color is also really cool. I like that really deep sort of forest green. So, huge fan of that. Another really cool sort of design thing that they did on here. So, the jimping on the back is obviously great. Great feature. That's pretty standard. You see that on a lot of stuff, but not always, so I'm always happy to see it. And this is a good level of jimping. I think it's really comfortable. But they also have some jimping on the front side of the blade, and I don't see that as often. There's no choil, but there is some jimping there. So, to me, for a small knife in particular, it helps to get that good grip between your thumb and your pointer finger, and you can really grip it well with just alone with those two fingers, and then these fingers help to support it because it doesn't have the best, it's not the most ergonomic handle in the world. It feels pretty comfortable, but really what helps is to have the jimping on both sides. So I can lock in here, and I know if I'm cutting open a box or whatever it is I'm doing, I've got a solid grip, and it's not going anywhere. Watch as I cut myself on camera. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. So that's really cool. And that was a feature I hadn't really realized when I first bought it. Also, ball bearing action. Once I get around to actually getting the front flipper action proper, it is very quick. And those ball bearings help it be very, very smooth. At this point, in terms of neutral points, I'm a little bit neutral on the front flipper, and obviously I knew that this was a front flipper going into this, and I knew it would take some practice. I'm doing pretty well today, actually, surprisingly, but it's taken me some practice, and I'm still not 100%. So at this point, you know, obviously a regular flipper is easier. It's pretty cool. It's a fun fidget factor, doing something a little bit different. Kind of tore up my thumb a little bit to start, but it's getting better. So I'm neutral on that, and just be aware that it's something new to get used to if you haven't tried a front flipper before, but it's not impossible. Like I said, this is my first front flipper, and I've only been flipping it a few days, so not the worst thing. The only thing that I'm going to really consider a total negative is I'm not in love with the clip. I do like that they put the deep carry clip on here. Some of the other versions have the titanium milled clip, which is not a deep carry, and you know, it carries like to here. But the clip is a little bit flimsy, and the retention isn't the best. I even took it off and tried to bend it a little bit to make it sit in the pocket a little bit more tightly, but it didn't do much. It's just a little bit, ever so slightly too flimsy for my taste. And there's not really anyone that I know of that's making aftermarket clips for Kizers. So I'll just, you know, I'll live with it. It's not the end of the world, but I was happy to see that they put a black deep carry clip on here. But I would like to see it a little bit stronger. That's really my only real complaint. And then just keep in mind that it is in fact a small knife. But I think for what it's for, you know, small stuff, easy, light EDC. And this thing, I wouldn't even, this is a tough blade. So a small, tough blade, you know, nice grind on here. I really like the blade shape. I think this thing can handle, probably is going to be able to handle a good amount of tasks that some others won't be able to because of this great steel. And again, I don't know how Kizer heat treats their 4V. I don't know if anyone's going to know that because I don't know if they've even used this in the past. Please tell me in the comments if you have prior experience. I would love to know. But I'm pretty excited to have this blade with this steel. So anyways, I think that's all the comments I have. I don't want to make this video too long. But in short, I'm really liking this guy so far. I think Kizer's done a phenomenal job with all the different variants of this knife. Check it out. If you think you like it, but you're not sure about this version, look it up because there's a bunch, and I mean a bunch of different versions out there with this thing. It would be super cool to collect them all. Fiscally, probably not feasible for me right now, but it certainly would be cool. So check them out. Look at Kizer. They've got tons of great models out there. A lot of good, adequately priced stuff with good quality and good steels and good materials. So definitely give them a look, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.